I'm actually sitting here kind of trying to figure out my next project, and I realized I could do a video on cordage. So this is the build your own survival kit video series, but and it's how to use the items in the bag or your survival kit that I've covered, like the 5 C's. I'm just going to call them the 5 C's or 10 C's, but the rope or the cordage or and it's stuff that you would carry or salvage. But it's a couple of basic knots with those. Just a couple or three knots will save you from cutting your cordage up, okay? Because that's probably a resource that you're going to want to, if you're in some kind of situation, you're going to want to conserve that. Now, it's not to say don't be afraid to cut it, but don't chop it up. With paracord, sometimes leather, for example, I've got a lot of that in front of me here. Paracord, you can retrieve it very easily. It's very, very tough. It lasts for years. So if you have a piece like this, like say it's a 2.5 foot piece, you can reuse this over and over and over again for different tasks, from making a tripod to, say using it on a fishing gig, handling some kind of, a tool that you've used, or maybe you're maybe the one of the sides came off of your knife and you need to, wrap a handle on it. Something like that, or repairs. So there's two knots that I use all the time, and this is including just day-to-day life. One of them you'll have is like this right here. It's called a whip knot. It's also the knot that I use to secure my line. It's right there. You can see I can pull. This is a mechanism inside this cord that you make. I can pull on this, and I can pull one of these loops has a tail end, and I can pull on that, and I can retrieve this. And now this has actually become a cord dispenser. I'll show you how this works. You can pull on this, see, and now it comes out, and then the next one comes in. Now that's how I got this piece of cord off of there, is I just pulled it out and then tucked this end back in, and this will get looser, but it still keeps it from unspooling and becoming a mess in your bag. Now there it is. And that's a great knot to know. Like say you run this like a ridge line, and you pull, tie it between two trees and do some stuff, and then you have say 10 foot extra, but you don't want to cut that off. You can just wind it up, do this real quick, and leave it hanging there, and then retrieve the entire thing when you're done. Now, with that shown, you now have this utility piece. So what can you do with that? Well, I'm going to use this so that you can see it. Now, I use hand fishing lines a lot of times. I carry just a little bit of fishing tackle, weights, hooks, bank line in a tin, and that's my fishing kit. And I can catch fish all day long with that, as long as I can keep finding bait. So the one I want to show you is I'm going to call it an inline clove hitch. There's actually a way to take and wrap the line around and like say a tree branch, and then do this. But this is to actually add. So you have a length, like say fishing line or something else. Maybe you want to hang a chime or something from this as some kind of alarm, whatever. But you can actually, I use it to attach bobbers to my fishing line. So what you do is you make a loop, and then you make a second loop. So now these loops are separate, see? So they're separate, but what you do, and they are also in line. So it's like basically wrapping around your finger twice. So you make a loop, and you make another loop, and then you take, so see this one is on this side of this one. You put one behind, and then you get this little design there, and you insert whatever you've got that you want to put in the middle of it. And now you see what that, by putting the one behind it, you get this cross piece right there. and that's what anchors it in. And now you just tighten it down. And if you have an item like cork or a piece of spongy wood that can bite into, it ain't going anywhere. And now you have this in line, in your line, whatever you're doing with it. Like I said, I usually use it on impromptu or in improvised bobbers, or even a weight. You can like say wrap it around a rock and use that as a sinker. And there you go. So there's one. Now the way to do a whip knot. I'm just going to use this spool for the same thing. The whip knot, which again looks like that or like this. You see how it binds all that paracord in there? I broke an axe one time. I was chopping wood and my handle split on me, started to crack. It wasn't a catastrophic failure, but I still had to keep splitting my wood. So I found some cord, just something that would hold, a good tension. Because like say you only have like say 5 pound weight jute twine, 5 pound being when you pull it like that, it breaks. Now it might be able to hold 15 just on a nice easy load, but when you snap it, that's the same with like 6 pound test fishing line. When 6 pounds hits it, it snaps. But I mean, people have caught 20 pound fish on it. So anyways, what you do is you figure out, I wanted to cover, say, a 2-inch space on, I also have it on my tomahawk as a protector. So if I'm splitting wood or something I miss, that's a shock absorber. So you can see the benefit of that. So what you do, so say you have a crack or you're trying to, lash something or make a handle, you take a bite, figure out how much you need to cover your distance, and there is your mechanism. See how if you pull on this, that loop shrinks. Now the only tricky part of this is getting that first loop. So what I do is I pinch it and then I get it wrapped around, and now see how it kind of went sideways? That doesn't matter. Just keep wrapping. Now, if you only had something like, say, 5 pound test jute, every wrap is 5 pounds, 5 pounds, 5 pounds. So you could put 10 wraps on it, 50 pounds. So you see the strength of this knot. Now, I'm going to run out of cord here, but what you basically get is that. So see, now it's sitting there by itself. Now what you do, I'm going to come back one more. Okay, so right there, you take this tail and you slide it through there, the one that you've been wrapping, and you pull on this one. And there you go. So that is a very, very strong knot if you've got to bind something together. 2 sticks, if you've got to extend a reach, cracked walking stick, cracked axe handle, lashing if say you split, you take a knife and you split the end of a pole to affix a spear, or say you split it down to make like a gig, like a pronged gig, and you can split it, put a little stick or a pebble in there and keep it forked, and then sharpen those. You can use that whip knot on the back end of that split to keep the split from going. So it's great for wood. Now, as far as storage, just like I showed you there, if it's just a temporary thing, you leave your tail here, you leave your tails, and then all you have to do is pull on that to get that loop fit or loosened, and then you can retrieve your cord. So that's the important of knowing a few knots, is it conserves your resource. Now these are my 2 favorites, and then of course there's say you're just making a utility thing or a bowstring, you can put a loop in there, and there's some fancier ways to do that, but I find that this works better, especially for paracord. There's another knot that can do that, and I'm not going to name it, that I find using in paracord comes out a lot. I think it's the bowline or bowline knot. It always comes out on me. when I use it on paracord. So I've used it, I learned it, but then because it kept failing, I stopped using it. And there's other tricks, but those are the two most handy outside just a regular square knot, that I find, or overhand knot, that I find using this, and that goes for my crafting, outdoor stuff, everyday life. If I just got to like do a quick repair, or cinch something in, and make it work for me. But anyways, so I just thought I'd go ahead and do that. Practice those with your kit. Apply those to shelters, or going out hiking and stuff. And I'll see you on the next one.